saying the words I love you. But now I'm walking on the greener side. Head held high, I'm walking out with pride. Now I'm walking on the greener side. No more tears, I'm reaching for the sky.
That's Shakara with The Greener Side. As we welcome in globally respected Chief Ayanda Ifadara Clarke. He's the Ajibilu Awo of Osogboland and an educator, creative consultant, a GRAMMY Award-winning musician. And that's why we're letting him pick the music, his music, to share with you today. His work, he says, reflects his embrace of the African and African diasporic traditions, focusing on the intersections of art, culture, and spirit. He founded something called the FADARA Group, which houses his various artistic, community, and spiritual health programs. Welcome back, Chief Ifadara.
Thank you so much, Dominique. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Just when I was reading that, the intersection of art, culture, and spirit, it seemed like a really good intersection to kind of hang out on right now at this moment in history.
It is. It's my safe space. It's a space that I've, that's been where I sit my entire life, and it's a place of balance for me. And what we need today is balance.
Okay, well, you went there. I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to speak is because we're in times when folks are really questioning everything, spirit, mental health, politics, and I think there is a lot of fear. And I know that in the Ifa tradition, a lot of times we receive roadmaps for a year or for an era or for a particular challenge that may give people some idea of how to achieve the kind of balance that you're talking about. So I was really interested in your outlook on these times that we're in.
Well, what Ifa teaches us, so Ifa is the philosophical cosmology, the cosmology of the Yoruba people of Nigeria, and it contains the wisdom of their ancestors, the wisdom that's embodied in the tradition that's passed from generation to generation. And so those who are practitioners of Ifa are students of history, students of the ways that we as human beings have related to the natural environment around us for generations, and the way that we connect to as citizens of the world, right? How we connect to those around us, those energies around us, and those individuals around us. So in order to be a practitioner of Ifa, the most important thing that you have to do first is to have an imagination where you can imagine a future that is, you have to imagine a future, and then you have to imagine a future that is, yes, imagine a future that is intentional, that is filled with light, right? We have a saying that in the presence of light, darkness must pack and flee, right? And so the belief is that light is more powerful than dark, that virtue is, and virtue, living with virtue is more powerful than not, right? And so in a time where we have questionable moral center in leadership, right? In that time, we have to make sure that we're not distracted. So what Ifa teaches us to do is to find that center through optimism, through maintaining hope, through the building of community. And so, to your point, when one finds themselves at a crossroad, not knowing if they should go left or right, when they are confused, mired in that state of confusion, right? Then we consult. We consult elders. We consult the divine wisdom. We consult those who have been here before and done this before. And so the Babalawo, which is the practitioner of Ifa, who is responsible for supporting the community and members of the community in maintaining that balance, offering the guidance and the wisdom that comes from connection to Ifa. When people come to the Babalawo, they come oftentimes like in a state of frenzy, like in fear, right? It's overtaking us. We're not sure what to do. We're not sure how to do it. We are sometimes at our wits' end. And consulting the Babalawo, consulting Ifa, allows us to tap into that wisdom. And so what I'm telling people now is what I shared with you, is that balance is key. Right now, we're being bombarded with frenetic energy, with chaotic energy, with disruptive energy. And that disruptive, chaotic energy is not without purpose, right? It's not without intention. And so our job is to be intentionally resistant, right, to that chaos, to that disruption. And that requires us to find ways to seek that balance and seek that calm and seek that peace. So that's the conversation that I've been having for years, but most recently, in the last several months, that's been the conversation that people have brought to me.
Yeah. So when you think about chaos, which is not without purpose, chaos, which is actually has its own intentionality, if we are able, or when we are able to remain balanced and centered in the middle of that calm within the eye of the storm, or whatever it might be, that means we are actually in some way victorious, because we're not succumbing to the intended results of that chaos, right?
Absolutely. Our understanding of balance, if you think of the, I use the analogy of a pond. Ifa teaches us that the wisdom is often around us, within the natural environment around us. So if we think of ourselves going to the edge of a pond, and that pond is still, that pond is undisturbed by wind or by some outside force, it's at a state of balance, of equilibrium. When we approach that pond, and if we were to take a pebble and throw a pebble into that pond, we would see ripples as the pebble hit the surface of the pond. And if we throw a rock, then we would see more ripples. And if we were to be strong enough to throw a boulder, we would see even more ripples. But if the water is choppy, if the water is disturbed, and the pond is not still, then when one throws a pebble, they won't see the rippling effects of that pebble hitting the pond, because it has been disturbed. So one would not know where or how that pebble has reached its target. If we throw a rock, we won't see if the rock we won't see the rippling effects if the pond is not still. And so the disruption of the still pond in and of itself is a mechanism that would prevent us from being able to see the effects of the actions that we're taking. And in order to be intentional and to be self-reflective and to assess, most often we need to see if I'm throwing a rock, if I'm endeavoring to do something, we want to see if we have been effective and successful. So oftentimes balance and stillness equates to preparedness, being able to assess what is the next step we must take. And when we're prepared, we allow the strength and the wisdom to be employed. And if we apply strength and wisdom to a situation, then we can achieve the optimal outcome. And the optimal outcome is our success. So to your point, yes, without the balance, without the stillness, and when that's taken away, we are unaware, we would be unable to assess whether our efforts are leading to our victory and leading to our success.
Chief Ayanda Ifadara Clarke, he is a musician, an award-winning musician at that, and also a Babalawo. We're talking about, well, apparently balance and how to stay balanced in these times. Continue the conversation when we come forward, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-550-9651.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppable, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
On January 7th, 2025, the Eaton Canyon Fire scorched Altadena, torching everything in its path. Homes, wealth, and legacy burned in one night. But will Altadena rise from the ashes? I'm James Farr. On the Conversation Live Altadena Rising, we're chronicling the recovery, the resilience, and justice for the nation. This is the show of record. Unapologetically progressive, we're not blacking down. So join me, James Farr, on the Conversation Live Altadena Rising every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific with the rebroadcast on Sunday at noon.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Wisdom, ancient and modern, and from many sources, absolutely feels like what we need in this moment. And in our history, our personal history, our nation's history, and what's happening globally. I'm being joined right now by Chief Ayanda Ifadara Clarke. He is an educator, a creative consultant, and a GRAMMY Award-winning musician and founder of the FADARA Group, also a Babalawo in the Ifa culture. So talking about balance, it sounded like you've got folks rushing to you for consultations who are feeling very freaked out. How do we find that kind of balance? Like what do you offer these folks when they're, or suggest to them when they're in this state?
I have a really good friend of mine, Dr. Rob Gore, and Dr. Gore is on the cutting edge of conversations around violence as a public health crisis, right? And so the conversation that I often engage with him around is idea of fear being a public health crisis, right? When we live in fear, fear is in Yoruba ideology and Ifa culture, we understand fear as what we call eleni. They are internal demons. They are things that operate within us that work against us from within, right? So fear being the way we respond or the way we imagine a future that is negative. That future that we imagine that makes us fearful hasn't happened yet, right? It's an imagining of a thing, and it's imagining of a negative outcome, a negative experience that our imagination creates. Now, there are some times that we know that the imagining of a future that is challenging helps us sometimes avert that. But when we live in that space of fear, then all of our outcomes, all of our decisions are reactionary. They're not proactive. And so the conversation that I have with people is how can we understand the difference between our own thoughts, our own ideas, our own mental, and then the fear which is outside of us. We have to separate that. We have to separate who we are, what our goals are, what our desires are, and we separate that from the fear. If we can do that, then we can identify the fear as other. When we identify the fear as other, we can go about breaking down that fear and neutralizing the effects of that fear, because that fear is what creates as we spoke about a moment ago, what creates the disruption in our pond.
I think it's... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, please.
Well, I think you made a really interesting observation that I want to go a little deeper with, because it feels, well, maybe I'm being selfish right now, but it also feels important for the moment, which is my job is to let people know what's actually happening, right? I want you to know the actual conditions that we're functioning under, right? Okay, there's a lion over there. There's a fast train coming from there. You might not want to walk across those tracks. But I don't want to get stuck in this doom and gloom loop where I'm like, oh, it's the end of the world. Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that. So that balance that you were talking about of knowing the objective conditions, but not being caught up in fear, where is that spot? Where's the sweet spot?
Yeah. Well, the facts is the facts. Fear is not in the facts. Reporting the facts is what. So there's a lion over there. There's a lion. We know that. That's fact. What our response is to that lion is where fear sometimes comes. Right. If our response to that, lion being over there is to avoid the lion over there, that's not necessarily living in fear. If the lion over there induces panic, induces screaming and yelling and frenetic energy that attracts that lion to us, then living in fear, then the fear has taken over, right? So the issue is not the reporting and the knowledge of what's happening around us; it's our response to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's so, and some of it is that as a broadcaster or low-key community griot, some of it is how I say it. I mean, if I come on the radio and, oh, there's a lion over there, there's a lion, we're all going to perish. Or if it's just like, okay, there's a lion over there at approximately 3:00, on Eastern, on the West Coast, whatever, then that's helpful as opposed to, it's factual as opposed to fear-based.
Well, I think that in a functioning society, everyone participates, right? So there is the one who is the town crier who says, "Hey, everyone, there's a lion over there." Right. That's the job of the town crier. The town crier must do the town crier's job. There's also those who who are sitting in the position of the Babalawo, who say, okay, there's a lion. Let us approach it, let us handle that situation appropriately. So I think all of our community has to come together collectively, all parts, all facets of the community doing their job and fulfilling their role. There is a time where people can be complacent, right? So the concept of balance doesn't always require us to pause. Sometimes, in order to maintain balance, we have to be mobilized and activated. If we are too complacent, then the idea of balance, the restoration of balance, looks like mobilizing and motivating people to get up and do. So the idea of balance is both ways. It doesn't just settle us down. Sometimes it must amplify us and rile us up. But the ability to assess what we need in that moment is why we rely on Ifa. Ifa helps us to know, am I too complacent? Am I sitting too still? Or is my energy too frenetic and I need to calm and center that? Right? Being in that position of center is our optimal strength.
A man named Mad Dog Media in our YouTube chat wants me to ask, he says, ask the Babalawo what Ajay means.
Mm-hmm. Ajay, so there are Yoruba is a tonal language, right? And so I'm going to answer that person's question in two parts. One, Ajay is understood to be the custodian of wealth, the spiritual energy of wealth. And the spiritual energy of wealth, we believe, is a feminine energy. And when the spirit of wealth, Ajay, comes to live with one, then it affords that person access to a life that is comfortable and peaceful, right? One who has a relationship with the spirit of wealth is not just money. It's not just tangible resources. It's a quality of life. And so one who has connection with the spirit of wealth has a life that is comfortable. Resources are available as necessary. Family, love, peace, happiness is available in the home. So the spirit of wealth is what we all attain, is what we all desire. No one turns away the spirit of wealth when she comes to live with us. We all want to have a relationship with that spirit of wealth. Another use of the word Ajay is to refer to spiritual energies that are divine spiritual energy. Sometimes people use the term, they define it in English as witch. It's not witch. That's a poor description. English sometimes is a bad language to translate high-level concepts from other languages to use that to define them. The spirit of divine feminine energy is sometimes referred to as Ajay. And sometimes that energy can be productive and can be destructive. If we think of the spirit of the ocean is powerful. Water cannot be controlled. Water has the ability to transform iron to rust and jagged rock to smooth rock and fire to steam. That spirit of the divine feminine energy of water can sometimes be tranquil, and we can sit at the beach and we can have the waves lap against us, and it can be healing. And sometimes that water can be a tidal wave, a tsunami, and can wash away buildings and the shore and the coastline, right? And so the understanding of that divine feminine energy as Ajay, as both positive and productive and can be destructive at the same time is also important. I hope that explains his question.
I hope it does too. I thought that was great breakdown. We have just 30 seconds here before news, traffic, and sports. We're going to continue on the other side, but folks can find the FADARA Group online, FADARA, the FADARA Group online, right, to follow your work and if they want to get a little deeper in some of these IFA concepts.
Absolutely. We're always open and available to address the needs of our community.
TheFADARAGroup.com. It's FADARA and then group.com, TheFADARAGroup.com. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The White House defends deportations under the Alien Enemies Act, stating compliance with court orders wasn't refused, as deported Venezuelans were no longer in U.S. territory. A judge initially barred some removals for 14 days, later expanding to all non-citizens in custody. Severe storms are devastating the East Coast after hitting parts of the South and Midwest. Over 3 dozen storm-related deaths have been reported in 7 states, from Kansas to Mississippi and Alabama. The USPS plans to lay off 10,000 employees in cooperation with the Department of Government Efficiency. CEO Louis DeJoy, who is stepping down, agreed to the downsizing as part of the Delivering for America plan. Approximately 29% of the USPS workforce is black. And the action comedy Novocaine is coming out on top in a slow weekend at the box office. The film earned only $8.7 million in its debut. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
UCLA and USC are 2 of the 4 number 1 seeds in the NCAA women's basketball tournament. The other 2 number 1 seeds, South Carolina and Texas. First game for UCLA is Friday at Pauley Pavilion against UC San Diego or Southern University. They meet up Wednesday in a play-in game. Southern is one of 2 HBCU schools in the NCAA women's tournament. The other is Norfolk State. First game for USC is Saturday at noon at the Galen Center against North Carolina Greensboro. UCLA also has a team in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The Bruins, a number 7 seed in the Midwest Regional, play Utah State Thursday night in Lexington, Kentucky. The Lakers snapped their 4-game losing streak Sunday. They beat Phoenix 106-97. The Clippers are 6-1 in their last 7 games after beating Charlotte 123-88, 31 points and 7 assists for James Harden. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I joined the military for my kid and his mom. I miss my son a lot. One of the things with the military is tobacco, but that's how a lot of people try to deal with mental issues. Everyone's vaping constantly. After my first hit of a vape, I was hooked like that. Once I got back home from my deployment, I caught my son trying to hit my vape. That was it. I had to quit.
Isaiah started vaping to try to deal with stress and quit because of his son. Learn how he and other Californians are rising above big tobacco at undo.org.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 42424. That's ROCK to 42424.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Here come the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, y'all to give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey!
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power! Fight the power!
Bam! Out of nowhere. Crashed, hurt, don't panic, don't wait, don't call your insurance company. Call 877-CARE-LAW, the car accident attorneys who care about your case and win you the big money you deserve. Car accident, serious injury, other firms just handle cases. We own them at 877-CARE-LAW. We're the premier injury law firm with a powerhouse team of medical experts who prove your injuries, fight for your rights, and get you to max payout fast. No fees unless you win. Dial 877-CARE-LAW now or visit 877carelaw.com.
877-CARE-LAW, 877-CARE-LAW. Hurt in a crash, don't stall, just call 877-CARE-LAW. Faster wins, bigger pay. After an accident, call right away. 877-CARE-LAW, 877-CARE-LAW.
Car accident, injury, don't call your insurance company. Call one team, one win. 877-CARE-LAW. Call now or go to 877carelaw.com.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. That is the work of our guest. The song is Opposite Peoples, and Kuti is the artist. And our guest, Chief Ayanda Ifadara, respected globally, Grammy Award-winning musician, also a Babalawo, and an Orisha and Egungun initiate who tends to the spiritual wellness of the people across the country. Checking in with us today a little bit about how to manage this moment spiritually, culturally, and in our everyday lives. We started out talking about that intersection of art, culture, and spirit. And I think we were just hearing a little bit of that right there.
Well, that work is the great Fela Anikulapo Kuti, who is the founder and the champion of Afrobeat. And Fela is inspirational to me because he used his music to champion and shine a light on the disruptive energies that were happening in Nigeria at the time. So Fela is a revolutionary, and he used his music to as his platform. So I always, whenever people ask me what do I want to hear, I want to hear Fela because Fela inspires me. Yeah.
Well, you know what? When we went to Nigeria in 2019, we went to the shrine of Fela Kuti. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because it's really like, it's called the shrine, but it's really like a big community center where there's constantly music playing. And then he has these ancestral sort of, I guess they're shrines or tributes that include everyone from Fela Kuti to John Coltrane, It's just a very interesting, but also for the common people. I mean, we went all the way from haves to have-nots, and it's interesting how he's opened up that space for the people.
I think that one thing that people sometimes misunderstand, even about Ifa, is that Ifa is not a religion, right? It's not a religion. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life and moving through life that gives one clarity in their movements. And so what we see with the shrine as a music space, as a community center, Fela was incorporating his culture, and the incorporation of the culture, the incorporation of the philosophy, the Yoruba philosophy, and the ideology that is not, again, based in any, it's not religion. It's a spiritual understanding and a placement that one has in their life. And you can see that and experience that in Fela's music because it appeals to those who are Isheshe practitioners or who are Muslim or who are Christian. The issue is not the religion. The issue is not one of religion. The issue is one of justice, of integrity, and of values.
When you say Egungun, you're talking about ancestors. Egungun initiatives is really ancestors, right?
Egungun is traditionally a masquerade. It's a collection of individuals who are versed in the understanding of the masquerading traditions around ancestral worship and ancestral connectivity, right? Reverence toward the ancestors is something that all of us, one thing that we can agree on is that we've come from someplace, is that there are seen people that have come before us. We have mothers and fathers, we have grandmothers and grandfathers, we have great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers. We have those who have come before us. And the blood that runs through their veins is blood that runs through our veins. And the understanding of the lineage from which we come helps us to understand where we're going. So the idea of all traditions all over the world, all over the globe, regardless of religious denomination, we understand that we look backward in order to give us clarity and to draw on the wisdom that allows us to make the decisions to move forward. Those who do not understand history are condemned, doomed to repeat it, right? We understand that concept. So when we pay homage to those who have come before us, we actively engage that strength, that understanding, that wisdom that we can apply in our daily activities that helps to make a future. Imagining, again, coming back to that, imagining a future that is bright.
And one of the reasons that I brought that up about ancestors is because I hear the refrain over and over again right now, well, our ancestors dealt with much worse. Our ancestors came through enslavement and Jim Crow and McCarthyism and whatever else. And so that should make us stronger and more prepared in this moment. Do you agree with that statement? How would you interpret that?
It can make us, we can look to it and it can help us in today. But I didn't live through those moments, right? I didn't live through those moments. So that means that it's not inherently in me. I have to look to it, right? I have to find it. So yes, our ancestors had challenges that were different than the ones that we have now. But that doesn't mean that we understand. That doesn't mean that we're automatically connected to that strength. We have to find that strength. We have to find that balance. We have to look to and inspire that within us. One of the things that when you spoke about the shrine in Lagos, Fela Kuti's shrine, that is a space that's dedicated to helping people to remember the past, remember and access that which has happened before so that they can be inspired to make change in the future. It's not automatic that one inhabits or encompasses or draws on the strength of ancestors. There has to be a reminder. The culture around us, the establishment of cultural institutions, the establishment of cultural spaces where we can come and build community, helps us to be able to tap into that strength. As a single person, as an individual, right, I'm only able to do what I can do, but collectively we can do a lot more. So those spaces where we can find community and bring community together are oftentimes where the understanding, the strength of the ancestors is coalesced.
Right. So in order to draw on that strength, we would need to pray, meditate, do historical research, call our grandma and great grandma. Like, what would you suggest?
All of the above. Everything that you just said, all of it. We need to call first. It starts with finding those warriors who have been through this on this plane, who are still here. We have leaders, we have elders who we can look to and get a frame of reference from. Yes, we start there. And then we can go back to our grandmothers and call on our grandmothers, call on our grandfathers. We can go to history. We can look to examples of, I'll tell you a story. My oldest son, Afolabi, is now a sophomore. He's completing a sophomore year in college. And one of the things that he asked me about recently is this idea of finding his purpose. He said, now he is the son of Babalawo. He is also an Ifa practitioner. And he himself is asking, he's like, Baba, Dad, how do I find, I feel like I don't know what my purpose is. And of course, I'm like, I'm clutching my pearls. I'm like, what? You don't know what your purpose is. And when he explained further, he like many of people in his generation are on the internet, and they're on social media, and they are looking at examples of people, and they're looking at what people are posting about how wonderful their lives are and how amazing this is and how they found their purpose. And he said when he's measuring himself against them, he doesn't know if he has found his purpose. And so one of the conversations we had was, if you ask someone when they're 20 if they found their purpose, they might say yes. If you ask that same person when they're 30 if they had found their purpose at 20, they're going to say no. If you ask that person at 50 if they found their purpose at 30, they'll likely say what they thought their purpose was is not actually what their purpose was. Point being, whenever we look back at our former versions of ourselves, we see room for improvement. Well, I have the ability. My grandmother is 96 years old. Mm. I can imagine she's still with us. God bless her. Shout out to Elaine Dorr. She's still with us. And I can ask her. I can only look back as far as I can see. But if I ask her perspective, she's going to tell me, oh, we did this. I lived through depression. We did this. I lived through, she tells me stories about driving in Long Island in New York where there were parts of Long Island that people of color didn't go, right? And this is we're not talking about in the antebellum South. We're talking about in New York City, right? And so my point is that we have elders who look back on their life and can find the wisdom to share with us so that we can move forward today.
We are talking with Chief Ayanda Ifadara, Babalawo, and Grammy Award-winning musician. We'll continue the conversation when we come forward. You're invited in at 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The Eaton Canyon fire devastated many black families in Altadena, taking more than just homes. It took memories, legacies, and generational wealth. The heart of a black community is now in jeopardy, but Justice Coalition, led by Gage and King LA Lawyers for the People, are here to help. If you've lost your home, we are standing by to hold insurance companies and utilities accountable for the damage caused. When the community suffers, we all suffer. Together, we can rebuild what was lost. Your recovery starts today. Call 626-429-1259. That's 626-429-1259. Or visit www.eatonfirelawyers.net. Justice Coalition, Gage and King, LA Lawyers for the People. We got you. Call 626-429-1259. Visit www.eatonfirelawyers.net. Again, 626-429-1259. This is attorney advertising. Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Legal representation is provided by licensed attorneys.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like stressed inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And we're talking with Ayanda Ifadara. Is a world-respected Babalawo. He is a Grammy Award-winning musician and the founder of the FADARA Group, which you can find online at thefadaragroup.com, FADARA group, and then .com. He's also on Instagram and Facebook. For those of us who spend too much time there, at Chief Ayanda Clarke with an E at the end. And we have a caller who I happen to know is also in Ifa, Sokun. You're on the air with Ayanda Ifadara. Good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Baba, Abura Boye.
Oh, Abuato, Babalawo.
Ashe. Baba, thank you so much. You're giving a lot of really good clarity and insight into basics of Ifa. I know it's difficult to speak on Ifa in a short manner like this, but it's really good what you're saying. I appreciate it. I wanted to add something, if I may, when you all were talking about fear. And Ifa, Baba knows this. Ifa, we have what we call the Ajogun. And fear is a really powerful Ajogun. We say the Ajogun are these negative forces. And in Ifa, what we try to do is when the fear or any of the Ajogun negative forces are dysfunctional, it's as an Awo, as a Babalawo or priest of Orisha, it's our task to make the fear functional or make negative energy functional. How can we make fear functional in this time. So I just wanted to add that, and we believe that the Ajogun, whether it's fear, anger, death, illness, they have the ability to call other Ajogun or to call other energies, like we say, to the party. Baba understands what I'm speaking of, but fear is really strong. Fear is strong. What we call Ibanuje, which is grief. All those things will call other negative energies in. So I just wanted to share that piece. But Baba, thank you for your words. Dominique, thank you for having him on, and you guys are wonderful. You're doing a great job.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I
Thank
said,
you.
Baba, Aburaboye. You're welcome, Baba.
Oh, Aguato. Yes, that is fantastic. Yeah, that was a great offering. And without going too deep into the cosmology, we want to look at things. There are some Ajogun that work outside of us. They exist outside of us that we have no control over, right? I can't control when it's time for me to transition and move to the next realm. I can't control if there are accidents. I can't control if there's sickness that I encounter outside of myself. These are things that exist outside of me. And then there are some things that are internal, things that fear, like doubt, like bad character, right? These things exist within me that I have the ability to control because they exist within me. And so there's the caller, I believe Ifa Shegun, made a good point in that when we cannot silence the internal enemies, the internal demons, those things have the potential to attract outside difficulties and challenges and bring about more challenges because of our behavior. And so we know what that looks like. Really practically, it looks like if I make poor decisions in my life, and then if I choose unwisely, the impact that it has in my life can be seen externally, right? And so what we can control, we have to be mindful of the things that we can control. I can't control my thoughts. I can't control my actions. I can't control the actions of rogue politicians. I can't control the actions of others without first addressing my internal issues.
Right. So we can create a snowball effect of negativity if we don't control or manage the things that we can actually do so.
Absolutely. And we see that happening every day.
Yeah.
We know that. We're honest with ourselves. We see when it happens, when we're out of alignment, and we see what the effect is.
Well, it's interesting he asked that question because I was going to circle back to fear. We just have a couple minutes here, but you were saying about your friend, the doctor, Dr. Rob Gore, and how he says fear is a public health crisis. Just like violence is down now, but fear is up, right? What, from a spiritual, cultural crossroads perspective, what ought we be doing about that?
Yeah, truth. We have to make sure that we are doing our best to fill the airways, as you're doing, thank you, with that which is truthful, with the truth. When we live in lies, right, we obscure our ability to tap into the decision-making processes that will lead to that imagined positive outcome, right? So hope. If we can fight, or if the truth gets diminished, then we lose hope. We lose hope because if we can't even agree, we can't have a conversation because the truth is not on the table. We have a saying that when the truth is on the table, all recognize it as the truth. The challenge is when people take the truth off of the table, or when so many lies are put on the table, so much that is untrue is put on the same table with the truth, we can't decipher what is truth and what is not. And so this is why, for me personally, the intersection of music, culture, and spirituality is so important. Because like Fela did, we have an opportunity to use our creative storytelling, use our creative expressions to highlight the truth, to speak the truth.
Chief Ayanda Ifadara, thank you so much for joining me this morning. It's been a great conversation.
My pleasure, Dominique. It's always a pleasure being on with you.
Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got his Monday show, which means it's jam-packed and full of greatness. And I'll leave you with the saying that Chief Ifadara just said, when the truth is on the table, all recognize it as the truth. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Tap in with me on socials. I'm at DiPrima Radio. We're at KBLA 1580. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The White House defends deportations under the Alien Enemies Act, stating compliance with court orders wasn't refused, as deported Venezuelans were no longer in U.S. territory. A judge initially barred some removals for 14 days, later expanding to all non-citizens in custody. Severe storms are devastating the East Coast after hitting parts of the South and Midwest. Over 3 dozen storm-related deaths have been reported in 7 states, from Kansas to Mississippi and Alabama. The USPS plans to lay off 10,000 employees in cooperation with the Department of Government Efficiency. CEO Louis DeJoy, who is stepping down, agreed to the downsizing as part of the Delivering for America plan. Approximately 29% of the USPS workforce is black. And the action comedy Novocaine is coming out on top in a slow weekend at the box office. The film earned only $8.7 million in its debut. Get BIN News on demand.
Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care